Hey, it's Matt from Custom Car Grills with a new grill for the 2024 and newer Subaru Crosstrek. This is going to be a powder-coated laser-cut diamond design, and I'm using the version with some small Raptor lights in it. Also included is this top edge adapter bracket as well as a couple bags of hardware. One of the bags is for the bracket and one for the grill. Looking at the back of this, we have lined some key areas with a foam weather stripping, which is intended to soften the contact of this metal grill to your plastic bumper. Bumper removal is required for this installation, and linked in the description is a tutorial on how to remove the bumper for 2024 and newer Crosstrek. Once you're caught up to this point, then flip the bumper face down on a soft surface. You'll find a few screws and a few clips that are holding the stock grill in place. Screw removal is as simple as you would expect. I'm just using a drill to quickly remove them and set them off to the side for now. The clips can be easily released by using a flathead screwdriver and pushing the center of the tab inward to release it and push it through the bumper hole. Once the fasteners are released, then the stock grill can be removed and set aside. The first step of installing the new grill is to get the top edge adapter bracket and the bag of hardware that's labeled to go with the bracket. Inside of the hardware bag will be 3 different sized plastic spacers, and each of them go into a specific spot. The shortest one goes right here, and then the medium size goes in a little bit closer about here. And lastly, the tallest one goes way out here. Let's repeat that step on the other side, and I'll get a little zoomed in further so that you can see the exact placement of where each of these goes in relation to the rectangular bumper hole. Now the bracket can sit on top of the spacers like so, which can be a little bit of a balancing act. The nuts and bolts can now come out of the bag, and you'll also want to grab an 11/32 inch wrench as well as a T20 Torx driver. Feed each bolt through the open hole in the bracket and through the plastic spacer and then the bumper. For the center and middle area, be sure not to thread the bolt through that installed nut that's in the bracket. That's for the grill portion. On the far outer section, you'll want to use the bolt and spacer in the upper bracket hole, and tighten on the supplied nuts to each of the bolts. And in doing so, you'll want to start in the center bolts and then work your way towards the outer edge. At this point, the bracket will be pretty loose, and that's fine because we need to make one adjustment while we tighten everything down. We want to have this bracket going as high up as possible on the inside of the bumper opening. So, as I hold the nut with the 11/32 wrench, I'll purposely yet gently push the bracket upward as I drive the Torx bolt into place. Get the nut and bolt firmly in place, but there's no need to over tighten anything. A good firm hold is all that we need so that the bracket doesn't move. The bracket's now installed, and it's finally time to lower the new grill into place and get that on the bumper. Let's also open up that other hardware bag and get the rest of the fasteners and spacers out. There are going to be 2 thick spacers like these, and they'll go right on top of the 2 center nuts that are pre-installed on the top bracket like so. I'm going to start this install on the top center and work my way around. There are 4 bolts that are slightly shorter than the others, and those are going to be used first by placing them through a thin plastic washer. We include a small tube of thread locker, and the top 4 center bolts are going to use this. Cut open the thread locker and run a small line of it on the bottom 1/3 of the bolt. Then place the bolt in the hole of the grill and engage the nut as far as you can by hand. It's important not to cross thread anything at this point, and important to have the bolt going through that thick plastic spacer. Repeat on the other top center opening, and again I'm using the shorter bolt length with a small plastic washer already placed on the bolt before applying the thread locker. Now, with the 2 top bolts only loosely installed onto the nuts of the bracket, slide the grill as far upward as needed so that the wings of the grill that go near the headlights are centered in the bumper. Once you have the grill wings centered up, then let's use our T20 Torx driver and tighten down those bolts. Like with all of these, we want a firm hold, but nothing that's going to be over tightened to the point where it's distorting the shape of the metal grill. I'll use this same technique on the grill holes that are next to the center ones that we just worked on. Again, put the plastic washer on the bolt, then apply some thread locker and get it hand tight in the nut that's pre-installed on the bracket. Fasten it down, and since there's not a plastic spacer there to stop it from going in far, use caution on the depth. I like having this relatively flush with the body line of the bumper as shown in this top-down view, though the outer area that's not bolted down will likely be raised up a little bit. The remainder of the holes will just use the bolt plastic washer and nut combination. Thread locker is not needed for any of the other fasteners other than the 4 in the top center area. This top corner bolt angles downward a little bit, and it can be a little tricky to get started by hand tightening the nut, but once you have it in place, then grab your 11/32 inch wrench. Hold the nut in place with the wrench and then fasten the top corner down to your desired depth. During this step, be mindful of the grill wing positioning and adjust it as needed so that it doesn't make contact with the bumper. Repeat these steps on the other side, and again we're starting on the top center and moving our way around the grill. The far left and right holes have a very small hole for the bolt to pass through, but otherwise this will fasten on quickly. The lower corners are easy to manage, as well as the bolts that are next to the lower corners. The only thing of note that I've seen happen is that the bumper may lose its shape from when the stock grill was removed, and it may need to be stretched down a little bit for the bolts to reach. For the lower center holes, we've included 2 large metal washers. These go on the back of the bumper since the bumper hole is quite large in this area. So get the plastic washer on the bolt and the big metal washers on the back of the bumper hole, and let's finish this up. Get the last ones tightened down, and here's how everything should look installed on the bumper. Everything looks to be a solid fit, and let's go over to the side and take a peek at how those wings look. We seem to be centered up, which is good, so I'm going to call this a successful install at this point. Now, of course, I'm showing off the version with some LED amber lights, and I'm sure you want to see how those look, so let's get them wired up real quick. We will include some wiring blocks like these or similar and have them pre-installed. You'll need to acquire the rest of the wiring and a switch to complete the rest of the installation for the lights. It's likely going to be best to hot glue or tape down the block to the back of the bumper so that no wires are visible from the front. When I give the lights a 12-volt power source, then here's how they look with the full shop lights on. They're relatively bright, even at this angle, which would be below the bumper looking upward. Here's some lighting with only one shop light on, and then let's turn all the lights off for a second, and you can see that these aren't anything super blindingly bright. Okay, let's turn the lights back on, and let me show you how one of these should look installed on the car. It's a drastic change in styling that offers more protection than the stock grill had. These will be able to be customized with other mesh designs or lettering, and please email me about custom jobs like that. Well, that's just about all I have for this video. This has been a very challenging grill to make from scratch, and I hope that owners enjoy the end result. I'm looking forward to seeing installed pictures or videos posted on social media. Feel free to leave any comments below. If you can subscribe, that'd really help out the channel, and thanks for watching.